recording. Hey guys, just wanted to do my final update for this 89 Jeep. As you can see, the dash, which I think I showed in an earlier installation thing, which was out. Here's the A and B. You got the two little boxes here. That's what this switch down here actually controls. You click on this side, it changes that one, and one changes the middle one. I actually had to spin the switch around to make it, work that way so it wasn't backwards, but it gives you Dakota Digital Dash. You can look it up online. It shows you all the functions and stuff. I won't go into details on that, but that was a chore and a half getting all of it wired in correctly. It was my first one, so a little slower than, now that I'm experienced, I could probably do it a lot faster, but it's a little clunky. I do like it a lot. There's a lot of really, really neat functions, but it's clunky. So, and it does, in this particular BIM module, let's see here, I believe that's trans temp. Yeah, you do get trans temp with this the 4L60 that came with the engine from Easy EFI Solutions. So far they've been stand up. I did have a computer glitch with the computer they sent with it. Took me a while to navigate through what was going on with it, because they actually test the engine, the computer, all that before they send it out, and it failed in shipping. So I installed it, and when I plugged everything up, it blew the fuse on the PCI or the PCM, and oddly enough, I could unplug the transmission harness from the transmission. Sorry, it's getting blurry. And it would, the short would go away, and it's not supposed to send constant voltage to the transmission, so immediately we knew computer failure once I figured that out. But you have to set all the gauges, the odometer. The owner of the truck actually decided to be honest and put the exact mileage back on it. That is, I've actually put almost 200 miles on it since I've done all this, making sure everything was okay. The air conditioning works. It's ice cold. It's a little slow. 134 in an R12 system. If anybody has experience with that, it's a little slower, but it does work. And you run a little bit less 134 because the molecules are larger. Blah blah blah. Technical stuff, but it works. Oil pressure's good. That's also something else with Dakota Digital Dash. You have to run a separate, they send it with the kit, but you have to run a separate oil pressure sending unit. It will not work off the BIM module. So that was something I learned. You have to use the one in the kit. It will read temperature and everything else, but it will not read oil pressure. You have to use their gauge and their gauge sending unit. It won't work any other way. So that was a learning curve. Other than that, truck sounds, runs good. Let's see here. Had to repair the parking brake. The spring inside this unit was broke, so I had to fix that, and all the parking brake cables are new, so all that's been replaced. Hydro brake boost. There's a new switch on the brake system for the lockup converter. Had to change all that out. As you can see, my switch is mounted here. Had to custom build underneath. I was able to use the factory four-wheel drive transfer case switch and built linkage welded. I just happened to have brackets for this particular transfer case, and the rod that came with it just happened to be laying in my spare parts pile. So I didn't have to try to track that down, and I had to cut it and fabricate and bend and make everything fit, but it actually works, and that turns the light on in the dash to let you know it's in four-wheel drive. Forgive the mess back here. We got on a trip coming up. I got to take it for a 3-hour journey to a show, but I wanted to show, here's all the parts I took out, but we actually added the seat belt. This is 1/4 inch channel iron bolted through. There's some huge washers, might be able to see them here. let's see, right there, some huge washers with locking nuts so that it will fall off. Both sides. Factory harness here. These are actually front seat belts for the Wagoneer. We did not have the covers. He's going to get some. And we used the front seat belts and the rear lap belt buckles. All that's original, but I did put newer looking ones because these belts are in better shape than what he had. So that's one more thing. Let's see here. Let's give this a little light. There we go. So as you can see, Vortec Hydro Boost. These are the two lines that run down to the pump and the power steering box. Computer mount. It's good and sturdy. I built a mount for the fuse holder. This is your throttle pedal electronic control box. The only original wiring left is this one harness right here, this one tiny little wrap, and I only used just a few wires out of it. The rest of this is all LS, so lots of wiring. That's the original vacuum canister for the heater for changing from floor to defrost. Novak, I'm pretty sure, makes the engine mounts that bolt straight to the original pedestals. Original manifolds that came with the LS when they sent it. We did aluminum radiator, electric fan, relays are in here, and I actually tied in the air conditioning so when it kicks on, this wire grounds the high speed relay, so it turns the fan on. That way if the truck actually exceeds 210, it kicks the low speed relay, and then you get high speed even though it's only calling for low because the air conditioning's on, and that gives you extra airflow through the radiator to keep it cool. You may not be able to see it, but there is a very large transcooler. It goes all the way across the front now. The one that was in there was like half and half. It was tiny, so didn't want that overheating. Generic Spectre air inlet, very tight fit, not much room under here. In the future, I'm going to try to talk customers into relocating the battery to the back of the truck, even if we put it under the truck where the original gas tank was, build some brackets, whatnot. That way we can actually take the cold air intake and turn it and come out the front where the original hole was here and just make it bigger. I think it's important to, you know, especially on hot days, if you live in a hot climate, you're going to want to make sure that you got good cool air coming to the engine, because it does affect performance, and it does over a period of time affect the life of the engine. So it's important to get a cold air charge. Here's the relay I added for the AC. Wrote it on there. Trans dipstick, nice little aluminum unit. For the most part, that's it. Up here I had to graft in, as you can see, the AC line. They don't make lines, and I don't have a set of crimpers to do those factory nice little crimp deals, so we had to go with clamps. So that's the high side, low side. I wrapped this to keep this hose from getting chafed on both sides, because there's really nowhere else to put that. And yeah, and this was his LED headlights that he had installed before I got the truck. So that's that. And the hood light even works. Look at there. Alright, let's go underneath here. So we got new drive shafts, new parking brake cable assembly. All of it's brand new all the way back. It works great. I painted the frame, all the undercarriage is painted. Scraped for hours on the front and rear axle to get all the grease and stuff off. Painted everything under the floor. The original gas tank used to sit here. It was here all the way back to the rear axle. Now we have a nice fancy custom fit aluminum 22 gallon, I think, fuel tank with an in tank pump. I think it's a 241C transfer case. It has a yoke style output that bolts like the original flange, so we did have to make longer front shaft and shorter rear shaft because now it has a slip yoke in the rear instead of the flange that bolted on like the original. That's a Flowmaster 3-chamber muffler, dual to the muffler, single out. That's where the customer wanted it. Sounds really good, as you can hear. It's just dry as it can be under here. No leaks. I've noticed the smallest little, tiniest little bit of transmission fluid off the bottom of the transmission there once, and I wiped it off and it hasn't come back. So I think that's okay. I think it was probably just from when I put the converter in, some spilled. So yeah, turned out really nice. Everything's brand new under here. Very solid, runs good, drives good. I think the customer should be really happy with this. I know I am. If it was mine, I'd be tickled. So it's not like I could sandblast under here, guys. So you're seeing some textures, but this is all painted. There was really no rust under it. It was just dirty. And I cleaned and cleaned and cleaned for hours. But I think you saw the befores. It was really nasty under here and rusty and corroded. So way better than it was. So there we go. There is our 89 Jeep Grand Wagoneer. And yes, BJ sponsored the parts.